Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter Podcast. Boy, we've got a lot coming up here soon. I'm gonna put some timestamps on the in the description down below for you guys. So if you wanted to skip ahead to the uh, the baseball portion of this, as you can tell, that's what we're gonna be going over today. Um, I'll have timestamps for each team down below. Of course, this is also right after the trade deadline, so I'll be going over some acquisitions for the teams a little bit as well. So these are probably going to be a bit longer of videos than maybe usual. But I'm going to spend the first few minutes or so going over what we're going to be seeing on this channel very soon. So obviously, as you guys probably know, um, football season's right around the corner, and we are very close to the first week, or I guess technically week zero of college football, as well as the preseason AP poll rankings, which will come out next week. So, with that being the case, we are very much going to be in football mode very soon. Now, there are still some divisions and conferences for college and the NFL that I still have yet to finish. I'm going to try and get those done within the next week or so. I'll try and finish the college ones this week before the rankings come out, and I'll do the NFL ones hopefully either this week or next week. We'll see which one that ends up being, and then of course, we'll run straight borderline pretty much into the college football season, and soon after the NFL as well, along with baseball still for the last month or two of the year, as we'll still have some games trickling out there as well. So yeah, that's gonna a lot of differences. We're gonna have all that coming out here very soon, and very excited. Obviously, as y'all know, the end football is the biggest time on this channel. We do cover baseball and basketball here on the podcast. We do go over the NBA. Obviously, I go over the MLB stuff. We do different sports, but by far our biggest one and by far our most covered sport is very much football, college, pro, both of them. We cover a lot of football, and it's getting pretty close to that time of year once again. So we will be very active. We'll be very busy. Obviously, it's just me today, but I'm imagining that with the football season coming around, I'm sure you'll see Serbinsky and Sam coming back for several different videos, along with possibly some guests on multiple different occasions. Stay tuned for that. It's not something I have necessarily ironed out as of yet, but I am planning on bringing on some different people, different friends, whoever. I do know maybe I can get a hold of a coach or two. Who knows? I do know a former high school coach, so maybe I could call him up, see if he's intrigued. If not, again, just whoever I could find. But I am planning on doing that this year, along with just everybody else as usual. So I'll keep y'all posted on how that goes. But yeah, that's where we're at right now, and obviously ready for some football. But today is baseball, and with baseball season really kicking into gear here, we're now already into August. This is our July review. It's a July review of the American League. This is right directly after the trade deadline for the MLB as well. So as I mentioned earlier, so I'll be going over basically the moves that some of the teams made, the bigger ones. I'm not gonna mention like every single tiny little thing, obviously, as I only really know the Tigers miniature deals. I don't know everybody else's. I know the big ones they made, and that's about it. So we're gonna go over every team here today, and as usual, I will also look at what the record was in the last video that I did from the previous month, comparing the records, seeing how they did since the last video that I created. So We start with the Toronto Blue Jays, who sit at a very nice 66 and 48. Give me a second here as I pull up the American League reviews. So looking at the American League reviews here, from the latest month, the Blue Jays were sitting at 46 and 38. So a whopping 20 and 10. Very impressive stretch for Toronto. And obviously taking over the New York Yankees, who were in first place. We'll get to them here in a second. But Toronto has been very impressive. They have been awesome as of late. The offense has absolutely exploded, and they have been consistently winning games. They've been doing a fantastic job over there. The Blue Jays are on a roll. And at the trade deadline, their biggest acquisition really is probably Shane Bieber, I'd say. Um, I don't really know if anybody else that they end up getting. All I really know is Shane Bieber. I mean, I know they did trade. They did trade, I think, for a reliever actually from the Orioles, like Sir Anthony Dominguez or something. But the biggest deal for Toronto is Shane Bieber. See how he does for them. Obviously, they are looking for a bit of some pitching with lack of clearly a lack of pitching here. I didn't highlight the right thing at all. As you can see, the number there for runs against. Um, Overall, Toronto's been very good. Like I said, rough month. Um, Outstanding month from I. Why did I say the other one? Anyway, great month for the Blue Jays. Awesome stretch here. They now lead the American League East with the Boston Red Sox still on their tail. The Boston Red Sox were just behind them before in the last month, and they're still right in this exact same place. Difference of Boston, they were sitting at 42 and 44 the last time we went over them, which means that since that point they've been a whopping 21 and 7, which is absolutely insane to think about. And they've also won their last six in a row, which is very impressive. As for Boston, trade deadline moves, they really didn't make much. I mean, they did grab a. I think they grabbed the guy from who was it? Dust. I think they got two pitchers. From what I know, two pitchers that I remember seeing. Steven Matz from the Cardinals, I believe. Yes, and then what's his name from the Dodgers? Something May. Dusty May, not Dusty May. That's the yeah. He acquired. They acquired the Michigan Wolverines basketball coach. That's what they did. God, where is it? I know they traded for him, but again, sorry, I don't know like all the different deals that everybody made, so I'm not necessarily. I mean, I saw a lot of deals. Dustin May, that's what it is. Okay, they got Dustin May from the Dodgers and Steven Matz. I don't know if any other deals they made, like small ones or something. I'm sure they probably did, but I don't know of any that they might have done. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I have no idea. But the Boston Red Sox, great stretch here. I personally, I said this at the beginning of the year, and with the way that they're now playing, I am really starting to finally see it for them. I firmly believe that this is a championship contending team. Don't mind my tan line, by the way. um, I firmly believe that this is a championship contending team. They're finally starting to show their true potential. Pitching has really been outstanding. They've been incredibly sharp. Garrett Crochet continues to put out Cy Young Award candidate numbers. And the hitting has continually been superb. So if you're Boston, you gotta be very excited with what you're seeing. This past month has been great baseball, and you're hoping obviously they can keep this up, but if they do, I think Boston is one of the better teams in the American League if they can keep this stretch going. Because right now what they are, I think is what I was expecting to see from them, and I don't think everybody is still even at their high at their their highest point. I don't think Bueller has necessarily been all that great, and there's still other guys I think that haven't necessarily been what people were expecting. So there's even more still in Boston, but right now it's been very, very impressive for them, and they're starting to get it right at the right time. So Red Sox fans, be ready because it's looking good for you. Can't say the same for the New York Yankees, who sit at 60 and 53. Yeah, rough stretch for them. They were sitting at 48 and 36 in the latest video. They've gone 12 and 17 since then. They have had some injuries. I know Aaron Judge was out for a portion of time. I know he is back now, or at least I think he's supposed to be coming back here soon. The other thing that the Yankees did was trade for a stupid, and I mean stupid amount of closers. And, you know, with the amount of closers that they have now, I would be terrified of facing the New York Yankee bullpen. I'm going to be honest. Just to let you know who it is the Yankees acquired at the deadline. They got David Bednar, who was the Pirate closer, obviously very good for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They also got Jake Bird from the Colorado Rockies. That was the Rockies closer. A solid player, nothing, overly crazy like Bednar. But then the Yankees also got Camilo Doval from the Giants. So that's three different closers, not to mention already having Devin Williams. And I believe, I'll correct myself here if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they still have Luke Weaver too, which was technically the closer from last season. So you really think, yeah, you got Weaver still there. So you think of all the guys that they just brought in to that, bullpen, all five of them practically. That's insane. Now I don't see actually Jake Bird on the roster here. I know they traded for him. I just don't see him listed. Maybe he's hurt. I'm not sure. Um, but getting all three of those guys is absolutely insane. And you can just deploy any of them at any given point. That's tough for any team to deal with. They also got Jose Calbarero, I believe is how it's pronounced, from the Rays. The Yankees did, so that'll be a solid pickup for him as well. He was a solid player for the Rays. He was a decent overall guy. He has stolen. It says here that he actually he's tied for the lead in the MLB for stolen bases for the year. So obviously that is very nice to have. Um, Overall, though, Yankees were very active at the deadline, making a ton of moves. So we'll see if that ends up helping them or doesn't end up doing much for them at all. We obviously remains to be seen. Similarly to the New York Yankees, the Tampa Bay Rays really struggled this past month. They were worse than the Yankees. They actually ended up going, let's see, they ended up going 8 and 21. So not good. Bad stretch for the Rays. They did what they typically do at every deadline. They traded for some guys, they traded away some guys. It just seems to be what Tampa Bay does, regardless of whether they're competing or not. They acquired Griffin Jacks from the Minnesota Twins, which is one of the better relief pitching arms that were available. And we'll get to the Twins here in a second because I have no idea what I just saw from them at the deadline. That was wild. Um, but for the Rays, rough stretch. The atypical deadline for them. Nothing more to really say. As for the Baltimore Orioles, they sit at 51 and 62. Pretty much went 500 since the last month. Went 14 and 15. 14 and 15 since the last month. pretty much 500. I mean, they're pretty much in the exact same place that they were earlier. They trade away several guys at the deadline. They had essentially what you could call it a mini fire sale almost. Trade away the majority of their veterans, guys like Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn, Sir Anthony Dominguez. Talked about that. Charlie Morton, which we acquired for some reason. We'll get to that in a minute. Um, Several guys that were dealt that were mostly all veterans. And, realistically, were all of them really going to be brought back for Baltimore? Probably not. And they get to build up their farm system again. I don't hate it for the Orioles. Obviously, it's been a disappointing season. They're expecting a bit more. Pitching has been very much a disappointment. The offense also hasn't necessarily lined up either. So obviously not what the Orioles were hoping for. But overall, you got yourself a lot of prospects for several different guys. With the Mets giving up, I think, a decent amount for Cedric Mullins, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you're getting solid returns from all. Can't hate it if you're an Orioles fan. You can hate the season, but you can't necessarily hate the fact that they got themselves plenty of talent to from all those deals. Next, we have the AL Central, and the last time I went over this division, the Tigers were essentially running away with it. It really wasn't even a contest. Um, yeah, so Tigers had a really bad month. Or at least they had a really bad stretch. Around it, it wasn't that bad, but for the month itself, they ended up going for the full month of July. They ended up going 13-16. Obviously, they lost 12 of 13 games in the middle of the month, which was really tough time to watch them. Um, and a big issue for the Tigers really sprung up at that point, which was the bullpen. And oh boy, did we really go and get a lot of bullpen arms, just not any I'm overly enthusiastic about. Two of them end up being assigned to AAA. One's not going to be on the IL till September, which we ironically got from Cleveland. And the other two guys are healthy. We have yet to see the one. The other one is our new closer. He's obviously gone twice. He's looked pretty good. And then we traded for two starters. One also from the Twins. Why are we doing divisional deals? Getting Chris Paddock from the Twins, and then for whatever reason, really late getting Charlie Morton from the Orioles. However, he did look pretty good Sunday. So a lot of pitchers that the Tigers dealt for. Again, like I said, I know all their deals because I follow a lot of Detroit Tigers. I don't follow everybody else. I don't know their small deals. Um, but for the Tigers, pretty interesting deadline. Unique month as well. Obviously, the concern really surrounds the bullpen. We've lost some starting pitching, but I still think that is pretty much fine because you still got Mize. We're gonna, your Jack Flaherty will be a little bit better, or you turn to a Chris Paddock or a Charlie Morton or something like that. I don't really want to, so that's why I'm hoping Jack Flaherty figures things out, which he's been better as of late. And then of course he just has Scoob hanging around, so that's pretty nice as well. Uh, kind of convenient to just casually have a perennial Cy Young candidate on your team. That's pretty nice. Um, but overall, Tigers are still a really good baseball team. I mean, like I said, they had a really rough stretch. It was not pretty, but they snapped out of it. They've looked much better since then and are back to playing mostly normal baseball. Yeah, they've still had some hiccups here and there, but every team does. So, happy to see that whatever that nasty stretch was is over, but still need work in some areas, and we're still obviously leading this division even with the really bad stretch by a sizable margin. Which speaking of, next we have the Cleveland Guardians. who sit at 57 and 55, which makes them 17 and 13 since the latest video. So they went from a little below 500 to being a little above 500. They've been a little better this month. Didn't do much at the deadline. The only new moves I know of is the one they made with us, and the other one they made with the Blue Jays. They may have made some other small deal somewhere. I just can't recall of one. Um, Cleveland is kind of sat around 500 like the entire year. They have not gone really over. They have not really gone under. They've just kind of sat here. So we'll see if Cleveland can really figure things out. I mean, you're no longer 11 and a half out of first place. You're now 8, which is still a lot, and is still the biggest lead in the majors in terms of division lead. But hey, at least you made up some ground, right? Not much really more I have to really say about Cleveland. I mean, they just kind of been, like I said, they've pretty much been average almost all year. They trade away a couple guys, and I don't really remember them getting much back. I mean, all they traded was Shane Bieber, who I don't really think really pitched for them that much this year. And then Paul Sewald hasn't hardly pitched at all either this year, and they traded him to us. So not really much that they lost. Not much that they really gained either. Obviously, no Emmanuel Clase due to the gambling investigation, along with the other pitcher who was suspended well before, or who was, who they started investigating well before him. So don't have those two. That kind of sucks. But other than that, not much to really say for Cleveland. Next is the Kansas City Royals. And this team has had a solid month as well. They've been very similar to that of Cleveland. A little bit better. They went 17 and 11 since last month. Pitching has continued to be pretty stellar. Still one of the better units in all of baseball. The offense is still significantly lagging, but the pitching has continued to be pretty stellar. Only deals I know of for the Royals, they traded for Mike Yastrzemski from the Giants, and they traded away a catcher to the Padres. I know nothing else about him. I don't think he really did much else. Yaz could do something for him. He certainly could help their outfield, which I know has been ailing all year. Other than really that, not much to say about the Royals. Much better month for them. They certainly put up a bit more runs and didn't give up nearly as much either. So, obviously for the Royals, the only issue has really been offense. They just have not been able to score. And they did a lot more of that this month, which led to a better record. So, Royal fans are definitely saying more of that, please. And now we get to whatever happened here. I don't know what on earth happened in Minnesota. 52 and 60 now. They were sitting at 40 and 44, which puts them at 12 and 18 or I'm sorry, 12 and 16 for the month. 12 and 16 for the month. Their deadline, they sent out everybody. And I truly mean everyone. There's no one left. They trade away 9 of their 26-man roster players. So they trade away essentially almost a quarter of the team. And for some of them, they didn't even get like necessarily a ton in return. And I look at that and I go, why? When you made these deals, you were only like 5 games out of the wild card race. Now, yeah, that's not necessarily a position where you go all in or something, but it's also not a position where you just completely implode the team. I mean, now you've made it so that the Twins are going to be probably rebuilding for several years. And it just seems like a very extreme move to make. And I have read stuff that the Twin owners have supposedly been trying to sell the team for almost a year. And there's people who are speculating that part of this gigantic fire sale has something to do with that. I don't know. I don't really know baseball business. I know some owners are idiots, but um, I don't know what to really say for the Twins. That's a wild trade deadline to have to just essentially go full implosion of your entire overall roster. Pretty much just get rid of everybody, and then that's it. You leave nothing. It just never really don't see that very often, especially from a team like I said, like the Twins, who are in postseason contention. So very confused by that one. And then there's the Chicago White Sox. They didn't do much of the deadline. 42 and 70. They actually went exactly 500 since the last video, 14 and 14. Um, yeah, not much really to say for the White Sox. I mean, essentially all they really did was trade away a couple average guys and gave them to a couple different teams. Whoever was valuable, they sent out, and they're continuing to fully enter their rebuild. Other than really that, not much to say for Chicago. They're still a garbage team, and I don't think that will really ever change. Now, we go to the AL West, which starts with the Houston Astros, who still lead this division over the Seattle Mariners. A bit closer now. Houston is sitting at 63 and 50, which puts them at 13 and 16 since the last month. They made a couple acquisitions. They got Ramon Urias from the Orioles, biggest one being Carlos Correa coming from the Twins, part of the gigantic fire sale they had. I mentioned Chris Paddock going to the Tigers earlier. Um, and they also got, and then I think the other one was Jesus Sanchez, an outfielder from the Miami Marlins. I don't know of any other ones they make. I believe that was the only three. They might have made a smaller move that I just didn't see. But those are the ones I know of. Houston has a pretty solid overall team. I know they're dealing with some injuries right now, which has led to a slower stretch from, as you can see, 3-7 their last 10 games. I know they're dealing with several guys currently on the IL. But this is a good Houston team. I thought that they would kind of take a step back this year when I was talking about this season to start the year. I figured they would kind of take a step back and not be as good as they had been in previous years, but still holding on to a division lead right now and trying to fend off the Seattle Mariners, who, speaking of, sit right behind at 60 and 53. They have been 16 and 13 since the latest video, so pretty much the opposite record of Houston. Seattle made a lot of moves at the deadline. They kind of went full in on the Arizona Diamondbacks and decided to just poach from them for two guys as they got what is arguably the most prized possession of the entire trade deadline, being Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks, who ended up having who has having obviously an outstanding season for the Diamondbacks. Now heading back to Seattle, where he was before going to Arizona. Um, yeah, he's been very good for um, you know I'm sorry for the Diamondbacks. With Arizona, he had 36 homers, which is absolutely insane. He is a half year rental. We will see if Seattle attempts to re-sign him. They also got, of course, from Arizona, Josh Naylor, traded for him as well. So they made some moves at the deadline to get some big guys in the town. Um, so far, I believe that both of them have actually done pretty well for Seattle. I don't think they've played too many games. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Eugenio Suarez has been bad, but it's also 4 games. Um, as for Josh Naylor, Naylor's been okay, but both guys, um, Ben Grossum for Arizona. So now you heading to Seattle. They're obviously looking for big things out of them. Um, Definitely something to see there. We'll see how it goes with the Seattle Mariners. They want that division. They want it from Houston. We'll see if they can get it. Then you have the Texas Rangers. They had a really good stretch as well. They're sitting at 59 and 55. They were 41 and 44 in the latest video, making them 18 and 11 for the month here. Rangers made one big deal that I know of, which was getting Merrill Kelly from Arizona. Other than that, I don't know really another big move that they made. That's the only one I really know of. And Merrill Kelly has had a very good season, so that's certainly going to help them. The only thing is, look at their runs against. Like, oh, what you really need another starting pitcher? Like, it seems like you're doing pretty good on that front, and you certainly have scored more runs since the last time. I mean, I was drawing comparisons to Texas and Kansas City to begin the year with how little they were scoring runs but giving them up. Now, yeah, you're still not giving up anything, and you're actually scoring finally. So, you sure you don't want like I don't know, a hitter or something? Help it out. Oh, they did. Let's see, they actually did acquire a couple other guys, all pitchers again. Pitcher from the Twins, pitcher from the Cardinals, all pitchers. Um, for the Rangers, I don't see anything about a hitter on here. I don't remember them getting one either. Um, but yeah, for the Rangers, really doesn't matter the offense. I mean, it's the same thing really as the Royals. They have great pitching. Their pitching has been dominant. It's just a matter of being able to score runs, get runs on the board, and able to score more in the opposing offense. That's all you really got to do. Then you got the LA Angels, who are sitting at 55 and 58. They did actually make one move to get a couple guys because they have had a nice stretch here as well. They've been pretty solid. They've been since the latest month. They actually had a much better stretch before this. They were 41, 44, now saying 55 and 58, putting them at, let me do the math here, sorry. 16 and or 14 and 16 since the last month. So slightly below 500, nothing too crazy. They did trade for two pitchers from the uh yeah, what was it, the Cardinals? No, the Nationals, excuse me. Two pitchers from the Nationals getting you Tiger fans will know this one, Andrew Chafin and then Luis Garcia. Angels are a solid team. I mean, they're only eight games out of first place. Not too far back from the wild card either. I believe Seattle is the last team in, so 5 games out of the wild card spot. Um, you're not necessarily the greatest team in the world, but you're also not necessarily in a terrible position. So if I'm the Angels, I'm still hoping for something to happen and hoping for good things here. And then last in this division is the I never know what to say. I guess athletics. They're not really a city. The A's are sitting at 49 and 65, which puts them, they were 53 or 35 and 52 in the last video. So that puts them at 14 and 13 for this month here. They traded away, shockingly, some guys, including their electric closer and another pitcher along with them, being J.P. Sears and their electric closer and Mason Miller to the San Diego Padres. They did get a haul for them, but once again, they just trade away any good players that they own for prospects and continue this maddening cycle that athletic fans are all too familiar with and sick and tired of. But that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I'll have more obviously coming for you soon. A lot of football, mentioned all that earlier, so plenty of that to come. But that's all I got for this. I'll see you next time, and until then, adios, everyone.